Okay.
It's the opposite. Like, say whatever you want. You can be like, AI sucks. And I'd be like, cool, sweet, let's talk about that.
Okay.
Like, let's do it. Yeah, this is just like you and me having like beverages in a corner. It's totally fine.
Yeah, maybe we needed drinks.
Can you imagine? We'd be like, drinking game, last video. Woo! That is what would have happened in my living room.
Right.
Well, like, can you imagine us like we're busting out the beer pong? Like, come on, Ranjitha, red Solo cups. Let's do this. Okay, y'all ready for us?
Yeah.
All righty. Hi, Ranjitha.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Awesome. So let's start out with like the basics. Like, I'm
Okay.
gonna ask you the hardest question first.
Okay.
She's like, oh God, no, you said you were gonna ask hard questions. Hardest question first. Why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and who you do it for?
Sure. I'm Ranjitha Kumar. I'm the chief scientist at UserTesting. I'm also an associate professor of computer science.
Oh, we're getting into that, girl.
at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. That's always a mouthful. So.
Yes.
But at UserTesting, I have this cool job where I get to deeply understand user needs and figure out how to map cutting-edge technologies to solve customer problems.
It's an intimidating title, I'm not gonna lie. Like chief scientist, like it's kind of like I'm the biggest brain in the entire organization. Fear me. It's kind of like, is that not it? That's not what you wanted to go for?
I actually think it's a role that you see at other companies, so it's not.
Is it called something else though?
No,
it's called chief scientist.
Yeah.
It's just, but you know what? It's funny because I think a lot of times when people think about research, even when people think about the research that user testing does, right? I think a lot of times in organizations, there is a sense that there is going to be a negative repercussion because you conducted the research. It's almost like that if I didn't know this product was going to fail, then I wouldn't be labeled a failure. So let's just launch it and see what happens. And that's not the way you would say we should do this, is it?
Right. I mean, it's the word research is really interesting in the context of user testing because there's UX research as a field or an area, and we're providing customers with solutions and services to do UX research, but there's also research with a capital R, which is about how you build new technology and
save lives and stuff.
Do
like
automation. Yeah. So it's really interesting because research is kind of an overloaded term in the context of.
And people get really confused of it because of that. But let's dig into something first here before we get into these questions that are like the big work questions. I gotta know, you're an associate professor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Computer science.
Yes.
What classes are you teaching?
I'm actually right now I'm teaching a full stack web programming course for advanced undergraduates and graduate students, and so we teach you how to basically build a web app from scratch. And we also cover design and user experience as part of it.
So as a tip, as a professor, how do you not throw things at your students in the middle of a class when they're like, actually, I think this is how you do it. And you're like, it's not, that's why I'm the professor.
Well, the Zoom screen is helping a lot these days.
Best answer ever. The Zoom screen really helps us not being able to do that. I like it.
I will say we've gone back to in-person, but it's been kind of a hybrid situation still because I am kind of teaching on 2 campuses, and sometimes I am teaching over Zoom as well.
Yeah.
So I think after COVID, everything got a lot more complicated.
I love it. That does kind of makes me, hang on. I'm going to switch up like what I was going to ask you because it's kind of like the perfect segue, what you just said, right?
Okay.
So, here's one of the fast 5 questions. You ready for me?
Okay.
Considering the benefits and challenges of remote work or remote teaching, whichever one you want to go with, how can technology facilitate communication and collaboration between teams?
Ooh, that's a great question. I mean, in my own work, I think recording videos has been very powerful because if you record a meeting that happened and then you can create transcripts from that video, and then you can use that to process and extract themes. So suppose you actually didn't attend a lot of meetings for some reason, but you still need to understand and digest what happened in those meetings. Being able to record meetings and then consume them kind of in this fast way so you're still up to speed is very powerful. And that means like more teams can know what's happening in other teams without actually being physically there in all those meetings.
And do you find, and maybe even in the context of what you do with user testing and what you see your customers doing, and does it also give them that opportunity? Because I can imagine if you're recording that video, not only is everyone going to consume that or hear and process that video slightly differently based on what they're working on, what their situation is, their context, but it's also going to change over time, right? And context is going to change over time. You might hear something completely different a week from now.
Yes.
From a video snippet that you got a week ago, right?
Yes,
so do you also find that like in this kind of hybrid space, being able to go back and recenter, going back and being able to, review and kind of recontextualize or at least respace where you are you seeing that as something that's also a benefit?
I do think recency matters because, as you're saying, context changes. Videos that you watch from a month ago might not make sense anymore because everything's been changed, like what you're working on and, even the processes, all of that might be continuously changing. So, I typically see teams where they're consuming the videos at a later date, but still within like a few weeks, right? It's not like I'm listening to something that happened months ago.
But in a lot of research, I can remember, this is how old I am, right? So I can remember when in my early days in marketing and we would look at research and focus groups, like that group happened like 3 months ago.
Right.
Right, and you were like, let me turn back the Wayback Machine and go. Yeah. And that's a really dangerous way of thinking. If that's how you think about research, you are not on top of that edge of where your customer is, where your business is. So there's a real danger to that, isn't there?
There is. I think understanding history is always important.
Sure.
So if you're new to a company and you want to understand what people have done before you got there, right? And what the user experience was like 3 years ago and how it's evolved, having that kind of repository of user experience data could be
thought of that.
invaluable.
I'm going to call that repository of all of Liz's past mistakes. We're just going to call that what that whole room would be. It'd be really great. It'd be really great. Okay, so here's what I was also fascinated with. I'm going to read this from a line that I got because, again, I was stalking you. So you run at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Did I get that whole thing right? Okay. You run the Data-Driven Design Group. And so what you are actually looking at very specifically is ML for UX and UX for ML.
Yeah.
And I thought it was so interesting that it was those two things together. Dive into that for me. Like, why is it an incomplete sentence to just say ML for UX?
Right. So a lot of my research has to do with applying machine learning and data mining techniques to build new types of design tools or digital optimization tools. So that's the ML of UX.
Yeah.
And then if you look at UX of ML, there's a certain amount of changes to the design process itself that you have to think about when you're creating data-driven or ML-driven experiences. And I think we're looking at, in my research group, how to build what I like to call experimentation engines, where you're not building one solution in a space, but you're building an engine where you can rapidly create many different solutions in a space and then test those to see what is actually solving that user need or problem.
I love that. Okay. If you had a magic wand, so nothing about research or like stuff that's real. If you had a magic wand, right? Which part of the UX research process would you automate first and why?
I guess we're doing it. So I
guess
you're
like, wait a minute, I already have that.
I definitely think the first kind of obvious place to start is with the qualitative coding of research data. That's where everyone spends hours and hours just watching video, coding transcripts. there's no reason for a human to really do that.
Yeah.
It's not I think, a uniquely human task. What you want is a human to be able to understand what the major themes are, where they happen in the data, and then really figure out what are the actions to be taken to solve problems. So,
Yep.
and that's where we're focused right now. So.
That's fantastic because, I think the thing we always forget, I think people think of AI or even ML, like whichever end of the learning spectrum or the data learning spectrum you're looking at. I think people always think of it as like this thing that inherently wants to take your job. Like it's just this very weird, right? Like everyone, like I was talking with Michelle Huff, UserTesting CMO yesterday, and I was like, everyone seems like we've trained ourselves to think about it like Space Odyssey and Hal's trying to kill all of us. And so that's
the
what
AI overlord.
Right, the AI overlord, and it's sentient and it's thinking and it has feelings now. And you're like, actually, no, it's bridging the gap between our inability to actually see and calculate all that data, and it's doing it so that we can bridge the gap in our own creativity.
Yes,
right. Like it's helping build those bridges. Yeah. Love that. Okay. Well, so then this kind of feels like a cheat question, but I still want to ask you. Okay. Because this one's Okay. Describe what AI means to you in 5 words or less, and you can't use ChatGPT to come up with the 5 words.
Intelligence, augmentation, or amplification.
Well, you got 2 more words technically. Like you could keep going.
And
trying to kill you. No. So we're not going to go that one. Okay, I like that. Brevity. I like that.
Brevity.
Went well. Okay, as companies are being challenged to innovate faster than ever, in what ways do you see design and research workflows changing?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most exciting opportunities ahead for us. And, my mind always races all over the place when I get asked these questions because there's so many different...
There's 1 billion answers, right?
Yeah, there's so many different things we can do. And I think it might be helpful to just break down the design process into kind of the different parts because there's need finding, there's ideation, there's prototyping, there's deployment.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, there's always something you can do to make each of those parts of that design process easier and better.
Yeah.
But I definitely think in terms of the space user testing is in around understanding digital experience and optimizing digital experience, I really think there's an opportunity to move into a more holistic design optimization flow. And I really think it's very striking that there's all of this work that we do that is called qualitative analysis, and then there's all of this work that other people do that is called quantitative analysis, but we're all trying to do the same thing, which is optimize digital experience. And so I really think AI is that bridge between those 2 worlds, and that's what I'm excited for.
It's interesting that you say that because I think a lot of times people, especially in the quantitative side of that world, right, a lot of times because it's us, fallible human beings, creating those surveys, a lot of times quantitative research can be very self-surveying as opposed to being kind of self-exploratory. Because I'm going to ask you a question and I'm going to architect this question in a way that you're going to have to give me an affirmative, positive response, even if you hate everything that I've done, right? There's ways to do that. And so I think that people start to question that research. But when you hear it, when you hear a raw reaction coming from someone, that's very different, right? That qualitative, So do you also see that power in being able to synthesize that kind of direct high fidelity signal that we're getting from the customer? And AI is now really able to not only synthesize that quickly, but then also give different process recommendations, it's able to kind of open up the world of our thinking in a very different way.
Yeah, I like to think of user experience research kind of falling into 2 buckets. There's kind of the bucket where you're studying what's organically happening on your digital asset, like your deployed website or your mobile app, and that's all of that analytics data you're you're collecting, and oftentimes you can't really interact with those people who are using it unless you intercept them and give them survey questions.
And then it's creepy, right? Because you're like, hey, stop what you're doing. Like, I want you to stop what you're doing because I want you to do my thing. Self-serving.
Yeah. And so, but at the same time, I think that type of data helps you quickly understand when there are problems in your experience. If you have a checkout flow and you're not converting enough people, that's a problem, right? And you want to understand why that's happening. So those types of quantitative methods around analytics, they really help you understand what problems are and how much.
Exactly.
Yeah, how much.
It's the what.
Yeah, it's the what. And then, but if you really want to understand why it's happening, you have to do the UX research and get that. Yeah, human insight.
You got to get both. You have to get both, because I think we focus on what a lot, and then we try to take the hammer and drive that home. The why is really hard.
Yes.
Right, and the why is really hard to then turn into process. So that's how we're starting to hear people actually talk about like RPA.
Yeah.
Like no one ever talked about robotic process automation and process mining like 5 years ago, but now everyone's like RPA. I can put RPA on it.
So yeah, if I have a magic wand, what I would love is as you have systems monitoring those analytics on your digital asset. As soon as you see that there are problems that you can identify, the AI can actually generate the tests to run that are hypothesis driven, and you are actually getting real. It could be real users, or it could be people who are roughly fit the same demographics as your real users, and get them to tell you why they're experiencing pain points.
Then again, your real users might not be your most profitable users.
Sure.
Right. So how do you go test that with a completely new market if you want to drive growth? Right. So many interesting things. Thank you so much for being here. See, the living room's kind of cool to come and hang out in, right? You're just going to spend the rest of your day here with me, aren't you?
Yeah,
it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you guys. We're going to be back tomorrow. Yeah.